Hey, it's Bram Duffy here again with Human Communication class. And I'm excited to have a talk today with you about interactive and social media. So, today we're going to cover what interactive media is, why it's important, and how it affects the way we communicate. And this is all on the background of relationships and society that we live in. So, I'm also going to include some examples to try to make these ideas easier to understand and relatable. So, to begin with, what exactly is interactive media and why does it matter? Well, interactive media is a collection of digital tools and technologies that allow people to communicate and interact in real time or through delayed responses. These tools are mobile, which means they can be accessed and used from almost anywhere. So when I say interactive media, think about the apps that you use daily, like Instagram or Zoom or even emails and text messages. These technologies have become so integral to our lives that they're not just for entertainment anymore. We know that there's these tools out there that we have, right? And we use them for work, for learning, for personal relationships. So, for example, a few years ago, you may have thought of a platform like Zoom as something that was used mainly for business meetings. And now, thanks to shifts like remote education and telehealth, Zoom is something that's a daily necessity for millions of people. Interactive media serves two major functions in our lives. First, it helps us connect with others, and the other thing is that it's something that we use to consume content. Connecting with others might mean sharing vacation photos with friends on Facebook, or calling a coworker over Skype, or even meeting someone on a dating app. So, for instance, when you use platforms like LinkedIn to network and grow your career, you also are able to find activism opportunities through Twitter, or these are different ways that you can leverage interactive media to build connections. Crowdfunding is another example. There are platforms like GoFundMe that allow folks to raise money online, whether it's maybe for a family in need or after a natural disaster or a small business that's looking for startup funds. On the other hand, consuming content is about how you use the interactive media to find information or share ideas or keep up with trends. Now, the one of the most compelling beliefs of developing strong digital skills is the positive effect that they can have on your life. So, when you know how to use interactive media effectively, you can experience things like better mental health, higher self esteem, stronger emotional connections with others. So, for example, knowing how to use privacy tools on Instagram to avoid sharing personal posts with strangers might be something that would help you feel safer, and that contributes to better overall mental health. It's just mastering these tools can help you build and maintain healthy relationships, whether that's with friends, family, or work colleagues. Um, Professionally, of course, being skilled with platforms like LinkedIn or Google Workspace, these are things that can enhance your job prospects since so many employers now prefer candidates who are comfortable navigating these kinds of virtual environments. But on the flip side, we have to acknowledge the concerns about an over reliance on these tools. So, for instance, relying too much on apps like Google information might reduce our tendency to think critically or solve problems independently. And there's also the challenge of these echo chambers out there on social media, where we know that users only see the posts that affirm their beliefs. And if you only see things that reaffirm what you already think, then that could limit your exposure to diverse viewpoints. All of this makes me think about how we have to balance the good and bad with social media and the use of these platforms, because today we're in a world where we need these things, but how we use these things can really shape how other folks see us. And so now that we've explored the importance of this whole interactive media, let's just clarify what it is, because at its core, interactive media differs from traditional mass media in one big way. With mass media, communication is one directional, such as this single TV network broadcasting, where it goes out to millions of viewers. But interactive media is something that is a little different because it allows communication to flow in multiple directions. And one example of that is if you consider like a YouTube live stream. In YouTube live stream, you're set up so that you're not only watching, but you're also commenting and interacting with the creator in real time. And all of this turns into what feels like a two-way exchange of ideas. Other examples of interactive media include um, these whole big old, they're called massively multiplayer online role-playing games. Um, World of Warcraft is one example of that. There are also online study platforms that are used in Zoom or Blackboard, and these tools are set up to help communication feel more dynamic and deeper connected. So whether you're gaming with people or joining an online school lecture, these are tools that let you perform better and do well at that. Social media is one of the best known types of interactive media, right? Because these platforms out there like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube are something that allow users to create and share content, but also engage with others at the same time. So to understand the variety of social media, we can divide it into categories. Like social media sites like Twitter are designed to connect people. And then media sharing networks like TikTok or YouTube focus on creating and sharing video or photo content. And then there are, of course, discussion focused platforms out there like Reddit that provide users with spaces where you can debate and explore a variety of topics. And then there are also review networks out there like Yelp or TripAdvisor that are designed to help provide evaluations of experiences or products, services. So, interactive media also impacts how we choose to communicate. To show you how, imagine that you're trying to convey an emotional message. If this were an in person interaction, you would have access to nonverbal cues like facial expressions or body language that makes the conversation feel rich and personal. So, this richness is harder to achieve when you just have a text message. But through a video, maybe that video call might strike sort of this happy medium. So, media richness theory is something out there that explains that the richness of the platform that you choose is going to affect the quality of the communication that you're able to put out. So, it's kind of like the timing of your message really matters. The other uh, connection of that is media synchronicity theory. And media synchronicity theory highlights this difference out there between uh, synchronous tools. And synchronous means that you're in real time, happening right then, and asynchronous tools, like things that would you could post and come back and see later, like an email or a discussion board. And these are words that I know may be new to you, but they're very much used in the world today. So uh, I'll say it again so that we can be familiar. When we say that something is synchronous, right? Synchronous means real time, happening in the moment, you and me. And that would be like a phone call, or that would be real life chat. Asynchronous, A is it's the same word, just A in front of it. So asynchronous is sort of this opposite, where you have emails or discussion boards. And so, for example, when a team at work is debating strategies, video calls can um, be something that are more effective because of this need for fast, real time feedback. And if you don't have that fast, real time feedback, then you're in a different kind of you have a different kind of setup. Whereas asynchronous tools are better suited for discussions that require thought and deliberation. So you can read about that person's thought. Maybe you check something on your shelf, or look up some tool, or ask a friend, and or think something over in your head, and then get back to them through um, email. So that's why we think about a lot of things that involve deliberation, like legal things or negotiations. All of this is a back and forth kind of deep communication that is often happening in writing. Self presentation and self disclosure are that are particularly significant when we use interactive media. But on social media, there's often this uncertainty about your audience. So, for example, if you post a tweet, you may not know whether it reaches friends or coworkers or strangers. And so, this is called collapsing context. And it works hand in hand with spreadability, which is this term that refers to how easily your content can be spread across digital platforms. While spreadability can be great for things like raising awareness for a cause, it can also lead to negative outcomes like trolling or cyberbullying, because you're getting everybody, even people that are against your message. So even something that seems innocent, like, maybe you're oversharing a personal story on Facebook, even something that you seem to think is that innocent, it could actually have unintended consequences if it reaches the unintended audience, because they could use that against you. And so, one thought I have about that is that if we remember the um, the female firefighters talking about the women's movement in California, and so when they had this horrible fire that no one could make better, they were seeing people that used their positive social messages for negative. And so it's that kind of thing that can backfire if, when you're putting your content out there, people can use it against you. Interactive media also deeply affects our relationships. You know, online platforms allow us to form connections that we might never make in real life, and that's one of the things that I think is so cool about them. And it's like dating apps that are out there may have made finding a compatible partner more efficient, though they also increase the chances of encountering deceptive practices like catfishing. But even friendships are influenced by social media. So if you consider a situation where someone reconnects with an old school friend through Facebook and rebuilds a meaningful relationships, those kinds of things happen. At the same time, these platforms can also create um, comparisons where you're thinking about how this is what this person's like compared to your life, and it can affect self-esteem or cause social media dependency. And that's actual thing out there. And social media dependency is referred to as problematic social media use. And so we have to understand that everything in moderation, right? So on a larger scale, interactive media shapes these societal patterns. Younger people, for example, are often more adept at adopting new technologies. And of course, older generations are catching up quickly, with many seniors now active on social media. But it's just true that social media is used differently by different groups. And that might be different age group or social group or cultural group. And this digital divide highlights gaps in who can effectively engage online. That's also based on factors like rural residence, like also income level or physical ability. For instance, during the pandemic, some kids that were in rural communities were left without any access to online learning because they just didn't have strong internet connections. I want to also mention the ethics involved in our digital world today. And it's essential to think about how we present ourselves online, while being mindful of privacy and also the authenticity of the information that we're sharing. So, for example, before you post a critical comment about something, we might want to ask ourselves, is this fair? Is this accurate? Should I be representing myself by commenting in this way? Another major concern in the world of interactive and social media is the rise of deepfakes and the need to protect yourself from exploitation, both financial and sexual. Deepfakes are a form of synthetic media where artificial intelligence is used to create this manipulated content. A lot of times it's video or audio that appears really realistic. So imagine a video of a public figure saying something that's really shocking or harmful, but in reality, they never said those words. And that's the power of deep fakes. I see this a lot of times in advertisements that come through maybe on YouTube, where I can tell that the person's mouth's not really moving perfectly in line with what they're saying, right? So it's something that's sort of off. And while this technology is often used for harmless entertainment, like maybe you're just seeing they create a funny mashup, it's also being increasingly weaponized for these other kinds of malicious purposes. So, for example, deep fakes have been used to impersonate CEOs or executives in video or audio clips, and that kind of thing can be used to defraud companies of millions. And a criminal might create a fake video of a boss instructing an accountant to wire money or to a certain other account. And so, without second thought, they would comply. Similarly, deepfakes are being used to create explicit content of individuals. And that explicit content can be used to blackmail them or shame them. I've seen examples of suicides that are related to this. And this type of exploitation can just be can be horrible because of the professional consequences or the emotional or the other kinds of consequences out there for the victim. But one of the things is that if they're making sex content, if they're putting sex content out about you, there's an ability they have to make, like put mash up your head on someone else's content, right? And I've even seen them where you can upload a video and make yourself look like you're making out with some famous figure, if you want. So we just recognize that this is something in our world today. And to protect yourself from these risks, there are several steps that you can take. And one thing is to be cautious about what you share online. The more personal content that you upload, like videos or photos, it just means that's more material out there for someone to misuse. So, for instance, uploading a high quality video of yourself could potentially provide the input that they need to create a convincing deepfake. All of these things are new and interesting in our technology world that are in high high demand because it's changing how we see things in our digital space. So to wrap up our lecture today, I hope that you see how interactive media is more than just a tool for casual communication. It's a powerful voice that shapes the way that we live. So, from our personal relationships to our professional opportunities. And so, by understanding these influences and making thoughtful choices, the goal is that you're going to be better equipped to use interactive media responsibly and protect yourself and portray yourself with the image that you want for yourself and uh, not be haphazard, not set yourself up for concern. So thank you for attending, and I look forward to connecting with you more when I see you on the discussion board this week. Thanks.